Obviously, the internet is going to have an important impact on retailing. It will have a huge impact on some forms of retailing, change them and maybe revolutionize them. I think there are some other areas where the impact will be less, but anytime we buy into a business, and anytime we bought in for some time, we have tried to think of what that business is going to look like in 5 or 10 or 15 years. And we recognize that the internet, in many forms of retailing, is likely to pose such a threat that we simply wouldn't want to get into the business. I mean, not that we can measure it perfectly, but there are a number of retailing operations that we think are threatened. And we do not think that's the case in furniture retailing, and we have 3 very important operations there. We could be wrong, but so far that would be my judgment, that furniture retailing will not be hurt. Now, you might say in jewelry retailing, with millions of things that you can click onto, 10 years from now, who is going to be important in terms of online retailing of jewelry? I would argue that 2 firms have an enormous advantage going in. I would argue that Tiffany has such an advantage. We don't own any Tiffany, but I would say that because of their name, brand names are going to mean very, very much when you have literally, thousands and thousands of choices. People can't. They have to trust somebody. And I think that Tiffany has a name that people would trust. And I think Borsheim's has a name that people would trust. And Borsheim sells jewelry a whole lot cheaper than Tiffany. So I would say that people who are price conscious but also want to deal with a jeweler that they trust implicitly will find their way to Borsheim's in increasing numbers over the internet. And I would say that people that like the blue box, are going to find their way to Tiffany's over time, and they'll pay more money. If I were to buy into any retailing business, whether I was buying the stock of it or buying the whole business, I would think very hard about what people are going to be trying to do to that business through the internet. And it affects real estate that is dedicated to retailing. If you substitute 5% of the retail volume via the internet, where real estate is essentially free, you can have a store in every town in the world through the internet without having any rental expense. So I would give a lot of thought to that if I were owning a lot of retail rental space.